Welcome to episode 66 of Meet the GIMP. My name is Rolf Steinort and I'm recording this in Bremen, northern Germany. The show today is a bit longer than usual. I have some messages for you, housekeeping so to say. And then I'll look into the development of GIMP 2.7 and 2.8. Well, yes, we just had 2.6.1 for downloading, but we have new information about how progress is going on. And then I'll show you how to set up GIMP 2.6. This is basically a remake of episode number 2, but there's something different today. Let's start with housekeeping. You see here the last episode that Philip made. Philip is from Chile and he can do stuff with GIMP that I can only dream of. He will be regularly here. So you'll have a show each Tuesday from me about photography and GIMP, and every second Thursday, ready for downloading it for the weekend, a longer show about making images from scratch from Philippe. The episode before that, episode 64, First Impressions of GIMP 2.6, was a bit special. I had recorded and published that in 16:9, a widescreen format. This is better for recording and for viewing because we have room for the toolbox window and more for the image. So this was a test and well, it misfired a bit because I made a mistake by putting it on the feed. I put the torrent on the feed and not the video. So if you haven't seen this, give it a try and tell me your impressions about this widescreen format. We know about the issues with mobile devices like iPods and iPhones and so on, and when we switch to widescreen we will have a second feed for a smaller episode of a smaller version of the video which plays well on these machines. I don't think we'll switch to HD. It's not that much better, but it takes a lot more energy for producing it and time for rendering and bandwidth for downloading. So this, I think it will be such a medium format as this episode here. Bandwidth. I tried to make the feed a little bit longer to include all the episodes in the feed, and that resulted in a near catastrophic download frenzy. There are always new people coming to Meet the GIMP and they download an episode. And then they either go away disgusted or they take the whole feed. And this time the feed was 65 episodes long, and several people did that at the same moment, and the server went down to its knees. It didn't crash, but Martin had to restart Apache and MySQL. By the way, a big thank you to Martin. He does a terrific job of keeping the server running and is helping in minutes if there's a problem. This time he was in Canada and logged in from his BlackBerry into the server to restart Apache. So thank you. And now let's start with a look into the development of 2.7, 2.8 and what we will have there. He's on the forum now too, and just drops a note, and I want to share this. Let me make this a little bit larger. So let's look at his postings here. What can we expect for 2.8? The first thing is the projection code will change. Well, what's that? This is my layman's model of this. So no accuracy. Don't blame the developers if I'm telling this wrong. If you look at your screen in a GIMP window, you see the results of several layers. And let's just make some layers here. So, and you imagine each layer as a thin plastic film, and on it is something. And you look from here. This is basically your eye, and here is the screen. This is the screen. What happens is that on the screen is a result of all these layers combined, and this is done by projecting this in mathematical models. Everything is mathematical here, but if you see it as a physical analogy, you just project light from here, white light, through it, and then calculate each step as it travels here through the layers. And the result, of course, here on top is 8-bit. This is 8-bit because your LCD or CRT or what else you know you use is using 8-bit and sRGB. But the way from here to here, this has been to 8-bit. And this will change to floating point, and so to a much higher level of precision, and only in the last step it will be converted to 8-bit. And so we don't have all these rounding errors. We'll have rounding errors, but not as big as they were. And so this is a big step forward for seeing what happens. This results in better images, higher quality images on the screen and in the final output if you merge or flatten the image. And this is a base to go to 16 or higher bits in the future with the whole thing. And then David sums up what else is in the pipeline for 2.7 or 2.8. The Google Summer of Code project, the improved text tool, resource tagging, that's a nice one. You can then give names to brushes and fonts and so, and select them according to that name. Just reduce this vast collection of fonts that you perhaps have, or of brushes. I think that will be really good. And of course, the Python interface that perhaps we'll do something more with Python here. We talked just about the projection code. Cairo makes everything nicer, and brush rotation and something will be also good. Something in the user interface, less footprint. That is really good, especially for me working in such a tiny space here. And something for the always comparing to Photoshop and this GUI sucks, and so supporting one window layouts by allowing to dock the toolbox and dialog images in the window. That will get a lot of calm into the discussion. And what I love too, tabs in the image window. Then you can have multiple images open in a tabbed window and just switch from them. That is a really good idea. And then more brushes, gradients, patterns for the default resources. And I think this is a way where every user can look if he can do something for that. Just make nice brushes and give them to GIMP. Then there are other stuff in my eye popped here, layer groups, which would be nice to be able to group some layers together, to let them collapse, and some layers that do a special function, that have a special function in the image, and just let them collapse, give them a name, and have them out of the window. Floating selection swell, yes, that is a nightmare sometimes still. And finally, color neutral GUI theming. and that is to get the colors out of the icons, to be able to have a really neutral gray, black, gray, light gray background for doing work where you are distracted by colors on your workplace. Steve complained about the lack of commitment of the developers team to have 16-bit for the next version. And David replied, "It's too soon." And I understand that. And I think you will too in a moment. For the change to 16-bit, every piece of code that uses RGB has to be changed. Everywhere where you change, have an input value in the range from 0 to 255, you have to change the dialog, you have to change the logic behind that, and so on. And so, well, if you ever have rewired a house, then you imagine just to rewire a house replacing thin electrical lines with thick ones. This is, I think, a good analogy. You have to drill through the whole house, to lay new ducts and so, and this is really a big thing. So we will have to wait, and well, I think we can have 16-bit in 2.8, but we can't have 2.8 in half a year, as or around half a year, as the developers want to make it. And so, well, we have to wait, and I think we will wait happily and wait for the new stuff that is advertised. And so, again, a big thank you to all the guys who are working on this, and you're providing us with a great free tool. This is how GIMP 2.6 looks when I have started it with an empty directory. There's a directory in your home folder where GIMP stores all its information, and that's GIMP-2.6. Under Linux it's .gimp-2.6 because this directory is hidden. And I just deleted the stuff in there, and now I have the basic configuration. And we'll work from there. And you see, basically I like this approach here with having the toolbox and the tool options always open, and then having here two panels with with docs. But as I have limited screen space here, I can't work with this. So I'll simply first close this window, and now we have two windows. Just to check which version I have, just go to Help, About, and here it is 2.6.1. That's the current version. You can find at meetthegimp.org where to get this for your operating system. I had some trouble doing this with Ubuntu, but it was my fault, not the fault of the package. So let's look. First, we can go to Edit, Preferences. This would be my first step. Let's pull this up here. And let's just go through these here. Environment. Here you can set the undo levels and the memory that should be there for the cache and for the undo memory and so on. I'll leave it as it is here. User interface. You can change the size of the previews, and you see here from tiny to gigantic, everything is there. I'll leave that at medium. Just try it if you want to have something different there. I don't want to use dynamic keyboard shortcuts, but then I could just define a new keyboard shortcut. But with this lot of keyboard shortcuts that are there, I think I'm a bit overwhelmed by that. But I want to see the mnemonic keys, these dash below, to see which key I could use. And here is a way to configure your keyboard shortcuts. You have here a list of everything that you can do, and even a search method for that. But it's understandable if you want to change something or define a keyboard shortcut, just go into this here. So this is okay. Then I'll go to the theme, and for the podcast I love these icons here, but they are simply too large for me. I go to small. You see here they have changed. They use less space, and I have to say they are less distracting too. Oh, okay. I had started to use small with making this podcast, but well, I think it's fine, and I use it in my day-to-day work too. Okay, next stop, help system. We want to show the tooltips. This is when you let your mouse hover over something and then you get a tip. Not now. Okay. And I want to use the local user manual that I have installed with the GIMP help browser. No idea if this works out, but I had some problems with that, so I'll switch to web browser. And my browser here is not named Sensible Browser, but Firefox. So I hope when I want help that Firefox starts up and gives me some information here. Now, tool options. With this option, we can save the tool options on exit. So your pen settings and all this stuff will stay as it is when you exit an image. When they exit GIMP. This can be good and this can be bad. It can be nice to have just the tools as they have been when you used this last time, but it can you bite badly if you have set the opacity down or the have set a mode, another mode than normal or so. So I wouldn't use this here, but I can save the options as they are now. This is a good thing. If you have set your stuff as you want it, just go to here, preferences, tool options, save the stuff, and then you will have your base for going. So this I'll leave alone. Then the default interpolation is cubic. I'll leave it at that. And I want to share the options between brush, pattern and gradient. I want to have the standard behavior of the move tool, so nothing to change further here. Now we have the toolbox. The toolbox is this little thing here. I would set these two on and the active image off. Here you can select the colors easily, and here pen, pattern and gradient. It's nice. It takes too much screen space for me here now. So away. Default image, nothing to do with that. As a photographer, you get your image into it. But if you're making a lot of images with basically the same size, just set it here. So default grid, we'll leave that alone. The image window, I'll leave that alone here, but it's important to remember that you have a lot of control about the appearance of GIMP, and now also the normal mode and the full screen mode. GIMP in full screen mode is awesome, really good. And something for the people in regular expressions and so substitutions. Well, here you can make your image title format. Let's go to display. In the display, you can control the check style of these checkerboard pattern and transparent parts of your image. You see here light checks, white only, gray only, and so on. All control that you want, also the size, and you can say which resolution your monitor has. No need for that here. Color management. I'll come to this when I have finally understood this. But now, input devices. Configure extended input devices. Well, that's a tablet. You see it here. And I have one, my Wacom tablet, and you see here it's disabled. I can set it to screen or to window. With screen, the tablet size is equal to the screen size that I have, and my movements are well, relative to the screen size. If I go to the top left part of my tablet, the mouse or the pointer is on the top left edge of the screen. And I can set it to window, and so the pointer would be constrained to the window, to the image. I don't like that, so I set this to screen. I'll leave this alone here, but go to here, cursor. No, stylus, sorry. I don't have a cursor. I have to remove that. Or a cursor is basically a mouse. I have to remove that out of my configuration here. So, now the extended input devices are in. And I can go here to input controllers. No idea how to use that. Okay, window management. This is for keeping the windows on top, and so we can switch this here, but I leave it at utility window. I think it works best. Activate the focused image, always a good idea, and save window positions on exit, also a good idea. Then I can just make them comfortable on my recording window here. I have a separate configuration file for my other work. Then I don't work in such a tiny window here. So, last stop here, folders. You can have folders for brushes, patterns, palettes, and so on. These folders are here displayed, which are used, and let's look at fonts. What do we have? We have no font folder. This is used from the system. Fonts are a topic I have to look into. I have so much fonts, I'm simply, well, overwhelmed. I don't find any usable. So, this was everything we can do in preferences. Just click on OK. And, well, for my work, I'm right-handed, and I love to have this on the right side here. You can do it in a different way. So here my image window, here my toolbox, and now I have to decide. This could be a bit wider. You see here, this snaps every time when the grid for this is okay. It goes a notch further. And now it gets geeky. GIMP has a lot more options than there are in the preferences dialog, and I want to gain a little bit more screen space. Here Wilbur looks above this toolbox, and this should indicate that this is a drop zone for images. You just drop your image here. But I know, and you should know, that I can simply drop an image here, so I don't need that drop zone. And from a mail in the GIMP users list, I know, a mail from Sven Neumann, I know that this is in the GIMP RC. And now let's look if we can find that. I open my directory. Here you see nothing, but if I press Ctrl H here in this dialog, I don't know how this works for other environments. I get all these hidden directories here, and let's look for GIMP 2.6. And here we have GIMP RC. You see here some other stuff, perhaps not bad to know about. So, GIMP RC. And you see here the stuff we just have set up. Monitor resolution, the color area, no, and the small theme and so on. But here is a hint. This overrules anything defined in the system-wide GIMP RC. etc GIMP 2.0 GIMP RC. Okay, let's open that file. Here it is. And we have a lot more to look at. I don't cover everything that's in here. I'll just go to the part where the stuff I want to change now is. You'll find this is quite long, but perfectly documented. You find a lot of the options we saw just, and for thumb you'll find here, for example, for the window title, you'll find all the abbreviations that you can use, and so it's really good. And here at line 588 we find show the GIMP mascot at the top of the toolbox. Possible values are yes and no. And well, I don't want to have that. I just copy this here, go to my personal GIMP RC, just insert it here and change yes to no. And now when I start GIMP the next time, it should be not in there. Of course I have to save the file before. There's a lot more in this file, so if you want to tweak GIMP, think about making a backup of your GIMP RC file and then just change it and try it. And now let's look what happens if I restart GIMP. And here it is, without Wilbur on top of the toolbox and with a little bit more space here. You remember I have just killed the second box here with all the necessary stuff that I want to have, and I want to have some of that. So I go here to Windows Dockable Dialogues. So I'll move this over to here to get the dialog into the window, and I go to Windows Dockable Dialogues. I need layers. Oh no, it's opened here. The top left corner of the screen, you can't see that. So layers, I need layers, of course. I need channels. I want to have again the histogram, and I want to have my sample points. And so on. It's your choice what you want to have here. And when I have all the dialogues I want, I just think about the order I want to have them. Layers is, I think, the most important after the tool options. Now I click on layers, on this word here, and simply drop it here. And now you see here, I have the paintbrush and I have the layers in the dock. And after that, layers channels is the next logical thing. Paintbrush here, tool options, layers, channels, and so on. I could just pull this over here and let it drop there. Histogram, sample points, and so I can fill up this with all the windows that I want to use. And this is better for my setup here to have one toolbox window, because I have this limited screen space here. And now finally I want to set up the toolbox. There's some stuff here that I won't use here. I never write with the ink pen or use the paintbrush, but well, that's easy too. Just go to Windows, Dockable Dialogues, and then down to Tools. This was not in the image now, but there is a point named Tools. And here it is. I won't dock this dialog. I can just close it again. And now let's start at the top. Okay, rectangle select. I want to have that ellipse. Free selection. Fuzzy select. Yes, select by color. The scissors. Foreground select. Never really used that, but well, I'll leave it there. Of course, the path. Color picker, I need that. Zoom. Measure. No, I don't need measure. When I want to use that, and I don't need foreground select. When I want to use that, I can easily pick it up in the menus here. Move, align is nice, crop, rotate, scale, shear, perspective. Of course, flip, I don't need flip. I can do this easily with the menu. And it doesn't happen that often. Text, bucket fill, blend, pencil, paintbrush, eraser, airbrush, ink, no, thank you. Clone, yes, heal, perspective clone, that's a cool tool, we'll have to cover that. Blur and sharpen, never used that, but perhaps sometimes I'll use that, but I'll take it out here. Smudge is a bit that I like. Dodge and burn, no, thank you, I'll do that in a different way, in a desaturate. No, thank you, but color balance, hue and saturation, brightness and contrast. We'll see if how far we go here with, you see here, this gets larger. I want to fill it up to here, and we'll see what is in there. Threshold, of course, levels, curves, and jiggle operation. Posterize I don't need, but then we can take colorize, and I have one option, then I'll take here blur and sharpen. Okay, now I have all my tools in my toolbox that I want to have in there, and I can close this again. If I need a tool that's not here, I just go to Tool, and here they are. Color tools, transform tools. This is easy, but this is more easy here. You see here the codes, keyboard codes that you can use. Then it's even more easy to access. And I think this was it with setting up GIMP. Just to recap, you find all the tools here in the toolbox. You find, and now let's recap. You find in Windows all the dockable dialogues that are available, and a lot more than I've shown you here. Just check them out and see if you need them or if you don't need them. And then you have a lot of dialogues that you can just pile up here in a dock. And if you want to have a separate docking window, just just start a dialogue here and add to it. You can add, let me just get some other dialogues here. You can add, as I did, with just dropping it here, and you get these tabs, or you can simply attach it down here. There, you see here how the color changes, and then we have in this window two docks. There's a tiny thing here to grab, to shove the border from one side to the other, and so you can configure your version of GIMP as you want. As you have seen in the start of the video, a better thing is promised for the next version, something that snaps to corners, and so this would be nice, I think. In the past, when you had closed such a thing, a dock, it was lost, and now you can simply pull it up from the bin and have it again. I think this is a great improvement too. Well, I had told you about the geeky way to manipulate all the stuff with tweaking GIMP-RC, and I think that's all I can tell you about customizing your version of GIMP. Of course, you can tweak more. You can make your own splash screen and change a lot of other stuff, but I think this is enough. This was it for this week from me. Before I'll see you again next Tuesday, you'll have a visit by Philip from Chile. Goodbye.
photocastnetwork.com, your photography resource in the potosphere. photocastnetwork.com